Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever felt completely drained, like you have zero energy to do the work you know is important, but you can still somehow lose hours just scrolling on your phone? Well, you're definitely not alone. Today we're going to dig into the science behind that exact feeling. We'll explore how a dopamine detox might just be the key to resetting your brain's entire reward system and finally getting your focus back.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Hijacked Brains. We're going to talk about this very unique, very modern kind of burnout that so many of us are feeling.
So this question, it really cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? Why on earth do we do this to ourselves? It feels like a total failure of willpower, but it's really not. It's more like a neurological trap. See, your brain is constantly, subconsciously, running this little cost-benefit analysis, always looking for the absolute easiest path to a reward.
Just take a look at this comparison. Our brain is basically like a seesaw, right? It's always weighing the effort versus the reward. Now, the hard things on the left, like studying or exercising, they take a ton of energy. And the reward? Well, that might not show up for days or even weeks. But the easy things on the right? Oh, those are different. They have been scientifically engineered by armies of people to give you an immediate, guaranteed hit of a chemical called dopamine. It tips the scales every single time with practically zero effort from you.
Now, this might seem a little extreme, but it's based on a really famous experiment that shows just how unbelievably powerful this chemical drive is. Scientists discovered that rats would just keep pressing a lever for a little jolt of dopamine over and over and over. They would ignore food, they'd ignore sleep, until they literally just collapsed from exhaustion. This tells us something absolutely critical. Dopamine isn't really about feeling good. It's about an overwhelming primal motivation to seek a reward no matter what it costs you.
So that brings us right to Section 2, the dopamine deception. We're about to tear down one of the biggest myths about what this chemical is actually doing inside your head.
Okay, so here is the core misunderstanding that almost everyone has. We call dopamine the pleasure chemical, but that's not right. It's really the wanting chemical. That dopamine spike happens before you get the reward. It happens in anticipation, and it's what drives you to go after it. It's the craving that makes you reach for the bag of chips in the first place, not the chemical that makes them taste good.
You see, your brain is always trying to keep things in balance, a state it calls homeostasis. So imagine it has this sensitivity dial, right? Just like the one you see here. When you are constantly flooding your brain with these easy, super high dopamine hits from your phone, from junk food, from binge watching, your brain has to protect itself, and it does that by turning that sensitivity dial way, way down.
And that is the real trap. This whole process is called downregulation, and it leads straight to dopamine tolerance. Pretty soon, all the normal, healthy things in life, like reading a book or going for a walk, they just start to feel kind of dull, boring, and unrewarding. Why? Because your baseline for what feels good has been artificially jacked up so high.
This chart just shows it perfectly. In that before state, a pretty low level of stimulus is more than enough to get you motivated and interested. But after you've been constantly overstimulated, your tolerance level just skyrockets. Now you need a much bigger, more intense hit just to feel normal. And that makes it incredibly difficult to find the mental energy for simple, healthy, productive activities.
The Stanford neurobiologist Andrew Huberman just nails it with this quote. Addiction is a progressive narrowing of the things that bring you pleasure. Think about that. Your entire world of enjoyment just shrinks and shrinks until only the most intense, high dopamine things can even register. This constant chase for a bigger and bigger hit is physically and mentally exhausting. It is a direct route to burnout.
Okay, that's the problem. And it sounds kind of bleak, right? But the good news is we can actually fix it. So, Section 3, Resetting Your Reward System. How do we recalibrate our brain's circuitry and actually take back control?
Let's use an analogy. Think of your brain on a typical day like this little guy at an all-you-can-eat 5-star buffet of intense stimulation. Every single dish is a massive dopamine hit, and it's all instantly available with just a swipe or a click. This completely over-the-top baseline is what we need to reset. So a dopamine detox is like taking that buffet away. Suddenly you're on a deserted island. All you have is silence, and let's be honest, probably profound boredom. And those first few days, they're probably going to feel awful. You'll be restless, irritable, uncomfortable. But that discomfort, that's not a sign you're failing. It's a sign that the rewiring process is actually working. And then this happens. This is the aha moment. After you've been starved of all that crazy stimulation, something as simple as a bowl of plain rice can taste like the best meal you have ever had. By creating this scarcity, you resensitize your brain. Your dopamine receptors start to upregulate. They become more sensitive again. And suddenly, boring, simple activities start to feel rewarding and desirable. You're turning that sensitivity dial back to normal.
So, the framework for this dopamine fast is actually pretty straightforward. First, you just identify your specific triggers. What are your highest dopamine, lowest effort habits? For most of us, it's endless scrolling or video games. Second, you schedule specific times to completely abstain from them. You don't have to go cold turkey forever. Maybe just start with 1 day a week. And third, you have to consciously replace that time with low dopamine activities, like taking a walk or journaling, to give your brain a chance to heal.
And here are 4 really powerful tools for your reset toolkit. I'm talking about simple things, like taking boring breaks, where you just stare out a window instead of grabbing your phone. Or look at this second one, the pain before pleasure rule. This one is huge. By doing the hard thing first, the workout, the boring report, you actually leverage your brain's own chemistry. It makes the reward you give yourself later feel even better, and it builds real momentum for the stuff that actually matters.
Which brings us to our final section, reclaiming your mental drive. So what's the real payoff for all this effort? What does life look like on the other side? Well, it looks like a new, more focused normal. The ultimate goal here is to shift from chasing cheap, fleeting pleasure to building deep, lasting satisfaction. Pleasure, like that donut, is instant, it's easy, and it's over in a flash. But satisfaction, like the feeling you get after a really tough workout, well, that's earned, it's internal, and it provides a much deeper, more sustainable kind of reward that actually fuels you. And here's the coolest part. Over time, your brain physically rewires itself. It's not just a mindset shift. As you can see here, it starts to naturally choose the hard path over the easy escalator. The neural pathways for focus and effort actually get stronger, and your brain begins to prefer the richer, more meaningful reward that only comes from real accomplishment.
So ultimately, this is all about reclaiming your agency, because your brain is being rewired every single day, whether you like it or not. You can either let algorithms and random impulses hold the instructions, or you can consciously take control and build a system that actually serves your long-term goals. The choice is yours.